They laughed at the lowly delivery man until he shut their entire company down. Darius Caldwell wiped his hands on his jeans and grabbed the last package from the back of his delivery truck. The summer heat pressed down on him as he stepped onto the sidewalk outside Evergrove Tech Solutions, a sleek, glass-covered office building in Austin, Texas. He had done this route dozens of times. Same building, same people, same fake smiles or, worse, dismissive glances. As he pushed open the heavy glass door, the air conditioning hit him like a wall. Inside, the office was buzzing with chatter. People in expensive suits and designer shoes milled about, eyes glued to their phones, sipping overpriced coffee. They never noticed him. Or, when they did, it was just enough to smirk or make a joke under their breath. Darius walked toward the reception desk, setting the package down gently. The receptionist, a woman in her mid-20s with sleek brown hair and an attitude as sharp as her manicured nails, barely looked up. "Delivery for Evergrove," Darius said in his usual steady voice. She sighed, flipping through her screen lazily. "Just leave it there." He had learned not to expect a thank you. That didn't bother him anymore. What did bother him, though, was the group of men a few feet away, 3 of them huddled around a standing desk, whispering and chuckling. "I swear, man, some people just don't move up in life," one of them said, just loud enough for Darius to hear. The others laughed. Darius glanced at them, young, arrogant, privileged, the kind of guys who had never worked a day outside an air-conditioned room. One of them, a guy with slicked back hair and a watch that cost more than Darius's entire outfit, smirked. "Must be rough delivering packages in this heat," he added, voice dripping with sarcasm. Darius kept his expression neutral, his fingers tightening slightly around the paperwork he was about to hand over. He had heard it all before, the condescending tones, the way they barely acknowledged him. It was nothing new. But something about today, the heat, the exhaustion, or maybe just the sheer arrogance in their voices, hit differently. He set the clipboard down on the counter, slid it toward the receptionist, and locked eyes with the guy in the expensive watch. For the first time, he really looked at them. These men had no idea who he was, no idea that he wasn't just some random delivery guy. He owned the company that made sure their office ran smoothly. Darius exhaled slowly, nodding to himself. He picked up his empty dolly, turned on his heel, and walked out. But this wasn't over. He had just decided something. He wasn't going to let this slide, not this time. Darius took his time walking back to the truck, his mind replaying the scene. The laughter, the smug expressions, the arrogance dripping from their voices. He had been in this business for years, long enough to know how people saw him. To them, he was invisible. Just another worker who came and went, doing the jobs they wouldn't last a day doing. But they didn't know the truth. As he climbed into the driver's seat, his phone buzzed. Curtis, his operations manager at Thompson Meyers Logistics. "Yo, D, you good?" Curtis's voice crackled through the speaker. Darius exhaled through his nose. "Yeah, just finished at Evergrove." A pause, then Curtis chuckled. "Let me guess, those little corporate punks giving you attitude again?" Darius shook his head, pulling out of the parking lot. "You already know," Curtis sighed. "Man, I don't know why you still do that route. You could send anyone. You own the damn company now." Darius drummed his fingers against the steering wheel. "I like staying close to the ground. Keeps me sharp." Curtis didn't argue. They both knew Darius wasn't the type to sit in an office all day. He built himself up from nothing, grinding through long shifts, handling deliveries himself, learning every inch of the business. That's how he'd earned his spot at the top. But there was another reason he still took certain routes himself. He wanted to see how his clients treated his workers. And Evergrove? They failed that test every time. Darius made a mental note to check their account when he got back to the office. Something wasn't sitting right with him, and his instincts had never led him wrong before. The 3 men were still chuckling, leaning back in their overpriced office chairs, sipping cold brew like they had just cracked the funniest joke of the day. "Did you see his face?" The one with the expensive watch, Bradley Foster, head of procurement, grinned, like he wanted to say something but knew his place. The others laughed, shaking their heads. "Man, I don't get how people do that kind of work their whole lives." One of the others, Trevor Sands, swirled the last of his coffee in his cup. "Like, at what point do you just give up and accept you're never going anywhere?" Bradley shrugged. "Some people just belong in those kinds of jobs." The last guy, Jordan Mills, smirked. Hey, maybe we should tip him next time, like a $5 bill, just to see his reaction. Bradley snorted. Right? Bet he'd be grateful. Probably doesn't see that much money in one place. More laughter. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't even imagine, was that the man they just mocked held their entire company's supply chain in his hands, and he was about to make a move they wouldn't see coming. Darius pulled into the lot of his company's main office, a modest but efficient warehouse and logistics center on the edge of Fort Worth, Texas. He stepped inside, nodding at the employees on the floor. These were his people, hardworking, no egos, just getting the job done. Curtis was already waiting in his office, arms crossed. All right, what's up? I know that face. Darius sat at his desk and pulled up Evergrove Tech's account on his computer. He scrolled through the invoices, contracts, and payment history. Then he saw it. His jaw tightened. Curtis, look at this. Curtis leaned over the screen, his eyes widened. Oh, hell no. Evergrove had been underpaying their invoices, not by a lot, just small clerical errors here and there. But it had been happening for months. Not only that, but multiple delivery complaints had been filed by Darius's employees about mistreatment from Evergrove staff. This wasn't just about a few smug guys making jokes anymore. This was a pattern, and Darius was about to break it. But first, he needed a plan. Darius leaned back in his chair, arms crossed over his chest. He let out a slow breath as the reality sank in. Evergrove Tech had been shortchanging his company for months, thinking no one would notice. But now, they had his full attention. Curtis shook his head, still staring at the numbers on the screen. Man, this ain't a mistake. This is them thinking they can get away with playing us. Darius exhaled through his nose, and they would have if I hadn't gone in today. Curtis let out a low whistle. You gonna call him out? Darius didn't answer immediately. He was thinking, weighing his options. He had worked too hard to build this company into something strong, something respected. And these corporate parasites? They thought they could underpay, disrespect, and exploit the very people who kept their business running. That wasn't going to fly. He reached for his desk phone and dialed a number. Who you calling? Curtis asked. Legal. Bradley Foster was having a great day. He leaned back in his chair, scrolling through his email, feeling on top of the world. Their quarterly numbers were up, bonuses were rolling in, and, best of all, he had an easy scapegoat for their shipping delays. For months, Evergrove had been dodging complaints from their clients about slow shipments, but every time someone brought it up, Bradley gave the same answer. Our logistics provider is struggling. We might need to look elsewhere. It was perfect. Blame the delivery guys. No one questioned it. And if Thompson and Meyers ever caught on, they'd grovel, because companies like that always did, or so he thought. Just as he was about to leave for lunch, his phone buzzed. Incoming call, Thompson and Meyers Logistics. Bradley smirked. Speak of the devil, he answered with his usual fake charm. Bradley Foster, Evergrove Tech. A pause, then a deep, calm voice. Too calm. Mr. Foster, this is Darius Givens, CEO of Thompson and Meyers. Bradley sat up a little. He wasn't expecting the owner. Normally these things were handled by some mid-level account manager. Oh, Mr. Givens, pleasure to hear from you. His voice was smooth, practiced. How can I help? Darius didn't waste time. We need to discuss the outstanding invoices on your account. I have records showing multiple payment discrepancies dating back 6 months. I assume this is an error? Bradley blinked. He wasn't used to being called out so directly. He let out a small laugh. Oh, I'm sure it's just an oversight. You know how accounting can be. I'll have my team take a look. Good, Darius said, because I already had my team look, and what they found is a pattern of underpayment, just enough to go unnoticed. Until now. The amusement drained from Bradley's face. Darius continued. We also received multiple complaints from our drivers about mistreatment at your offices. That's a problem, Mr. Foster. Bradley forced another laugh, but it didn't land. Oh, come on, Mr. Givens. You know how people exaggerate. I was there. Silence. Bradley's throat went dry. You were? I was the one delivering your packages today, Darius said, his voice even. I heard what you said. Bradley's fingers tightened around his phone. This wasn't going how he expected. Well, listen, Darius cut him off. We're done, Mr. Foster. Effective immediately, Thompson Meyers Logistics is terminating our contract with Evergrove Tech Solutions. Bradley's stomach dropped. Wait, hold on, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Your supply chain depends on us. Find another provider. Bradley shot up from his chair. You can't do that. I just did. Click. Bradley stood there, gripping his phone so hard his knuckles turned white. His mind raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. Evergrove needed Thompson and Meyers. Their entire inventory was shipped through them. If their contract was pulled, it would take weeks, months even, to replace their logistics infrastructure. Trevor and Jordan walked in, laughing about something, until they saw Bradley's face. Dude, what's wrong? Trevor asked. Bradley's mouth was dry, his voice barely came out. The delivery guy, he just fired us. Silence. Then Jordan frowned. Wait, the delivery guy? You mean the same dude we... Bradley swallowed hard. Yeah, him. The reality settled over them like a weight. They had laughed at the man who controlled their business, and now they were about to pay for it. Bradley paced the office, running a hand through his slicked back hair. This couldn't be happening. Their entire shipping operation depended on Thompson and Meyers. If they pulled out, Evergrove Tech was screwed. Trevor sat at his desk, frantically typing. Dude, I'm looking up other logistics companies, but most of them need weeks just to start onboarding new clients. Jordan leaned back, rubbing his temples. Okay, so what do? We can't just let this happen. Bradley's mind raced. They had to fix this, fast. But how? Apologizing wouldn't cut it. Darius wasn't just mad, he was making a statement. Then an idea hit him. Legal. He grabbed his phone and called their company lawyer, Rick Halpert. Rick, we've got a situation. Our logistics provider is trying to pull out of our contract immediately. Can they even do that? A long pause. Then Rick sighed. That depends. What's in the contract? Bradley rubbed his forehead. I don't know. I never read the fine print. Rick chuckled dryly. Then I'd suggest you read it now. Bradley slammed his laptop open and pulled up the contract. His eyes skimmed the dense legal text until he found what he was looking for, the termination clause. And his stomach dropped. Thompson and Meyers had the right to terminate their agreement without penalty if Evergrove was found in violation of ethical business practices, including mistreatment of employees or vendors. Darius had them. Dead to rights. Bradley slumped in his chair, heart pounding. There was no way out. Darius stood in the conference room, arms crossed, as his legal team confirmed what he already knew. Evergrove Tech had no case. Curtis grinned. Man, watching that dude squirm on the phone, priceless. Darius didn't smile. This wasn't just about payback. This was about setting a precedent. Evergrove thought they could treat workers like background characters in their own success story. They were wrong. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. His assistant, Lena, peeked in. Boss, you're going to want to see this. She stepped inside and set her phone on the table, playing a video. Darius frowned as the screen lit up. It was security footage from Evergrove's office. The moment Bradley and his buddies mocked him. The clip had been uploaded to social media by an Evergrove employee who had enough of the toxic culture. The caption? Instant karma. Evergrove Tech execs laugh at lowly delivery guy. Turns out he owns the company that keeps them running. Darius watched as the internet did what it did best. Thousands of comments, people calling out Evergrove for their arrogance, former employees exposing their shady business practices, and then, the best part, clients of Evergrove Tech threatening to pull their business. Darius set the phone down. The damage was already done. He looked at Curtis. They're gonna call. Curtis grinned. Oh, I know. Question is, are you gonna pick up? Bradley's phone was blowing up. Clients were pulling orders. Investors were asking questions. The board was pissed. His assistant burst into the office. Bradley, we have a problem. No kidding, he snapped. No, I mean bigger than that. She hesitated. Have you seen the internet today? Bradley snatched his phone, fingers flying. Then he saw it. The viral post. His heart stopped. The whole world knew. And there, in the comments section, was a single reply from Darius himself. Respect isn't optional. Neither is accountability. We'll be just fine without Evergrove Tech. Hope they can say the same. Bradley's breath caught. He had lost, and there was nothing he could do about it. Bradley stared at his phone, his mind blank with shock. This wasn't just bad. This was a full-blown disaster. The Evergrove Tech brand was imploding in real time. His assistant shifted nervously by the door. "The board wants you in the conference room, now." Bradley exhaled sharply, grabbed his laptop, and marched down the hall. As soon as he stepped in, a dozen furious eyes locked onto him. "What the hell is going on, Bradley?" one of the board members snapped. Another director, a woman in a crisp blue suit, slammed a printed-out copy of the viral post onto the table. "Explain this." Bradley swallowed hard. It's been blown out of proportion. It's just some internet noise." "Internet noise," another member scoffed. "We've already lost 3 major contracts in the last hour. Clients don't want to be associated with a company that treats workers like trash." The CEO, Richard Calloway, leaned forward, his face unreadable. "Fix it." Bradley nodded quickly. I'll call Darius. We'll smooth things over." Richard's jaw tightened. "You'd better, because if this company takes any more losses, you won't be sitting in that chair much longer." Bradley didn't need to be told twice. He rushed back to his office and dialed Darius's number. It rang once, twice, then finally. "Givens." Bradley forced a smile, though Darius couldn't see it. "Mr. Givens, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'd like to discuss a way forward." "There is no misunderstanding," Darius interrupted. "You disrespected my workers. You underpaid my company. You lied to your clients and blamed us. And now you want to talk because you got caught." Bradley's throat went dry. "Listen, I'm sure we can work something out. Maybe a public apology, a partnership deal. We can..." "Bradley." The calmness in Darius's voice sent a chill through him. "You don't get it. This isn't just business. This is about respect, and you don't have any." Bradley's fingers tightened around the phone. "You're making a mistake here. If Evergrove tanks, you lose a major client." Darius chuckled softly. "You think I'm worried? I've already signed 3 new contracts today. Companies that treat my workers with dignity. Companies that don't cut corners and cheat their partners." Silence. Then Darius sighed. "You should have thought about this before you ran your mouth, Bradley." Click. The line went dead. Bradley slowly set his phone down, hands trembling. He had lost everything. Darius leaned back in his chair, watching the Evergrove disaster unfold online. Curtis walked in, phone in hand, laughing. "Man, they're in full meltdown mode. That company's circling the drain." Darius sighed. "They did it to themselves." Curtis smirked. "You sure you don't feel even a little bad?" Darius gave him a look. "Not even a little?" A knock at the door made them both turn. Lena stepped in, holding a folder. "Boss, we got a new client request. A big one." She set the papers down. Darius flipped through them. A Fortune 500 company. Curtis whistled. "Damn, that's a major upgrade from Evergrove." Darius smirked. "Respect gets you further than arrogance ever will." He picked up the pen and signed the contract. Evergrove Tech had lost everything. And Thompson and Meyers? They were just getting started. The fallout from Evergrove Tech's scandal spread like wildfire. Within days, their stock plummeted, clients walked away, and investors lost confidence. No amount of damage control could undo what had been done. Bradley Foster, fired. The board wasted no time cutting ties, blaming him for the disaster. His once promising career was now a stain on the company's history. No one wanted to hire a man whose arrogance had sunk a multi-million-dollar business. Trevor and Jordan? They weren't laughing anymore. They watched as Evergrove's cushy office space emptied out, the same way their bank accounts were about to. Without their logistics provider, supply chain issues crippled them. What started as a few snide remarks had turned into a nightmare they couldn't escape. Meanwhile, Thompson Meyers Logistics was thriving. Darius watched as his company secured new contracts, expanded operations, and became a symbol of integrity in the industry. His employees, once treated like disposable labor, were now recognized as the backbone of the business world. And the best part? It all happened without him needing revenge. All he did was hold people accountable. One afternoon, as Darius walked through the warehouse, a young driver approached him. "Boss, can I ask you something?" Darius nodded. "What's up?" The driver hesitated. "How'd you stay so calm through all of this? If it were me, I would have gone off on those guys." Darius chuckled, looking around at his busy, thriving business. "Son, success is the loudest response. You don't waste energy on people beneath your standards. You just remind them who's really in control. The young driver smiled, nodding in understanding. Darius clapped a hand on his shoulder. Now come on, we've got work to do. Never underestimate the person you look down on. The same people you mock today might hold your fate in their hands tomorrow. Respect is free. But arrogance, that'll cost you everything. If you believe in treating people with respect, hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe for more powerful life lessons. Because in the end, the way you treat people always comes back around.